Hi there, knife people. Hello, lady and gentlemen. Tonight we're going to talk MagnaCut.
MagnaCut steel.
MagnaCut.
With CPM MagnaCut.
MagnaCut is the creator of MagnaCut.
This is a MagnaCut blade.
MagnaCut steel.
And MagnaCut steel.
It's everywhere. Companies, large and small, expensive and reasonably priced, they all making knives out of MagnaCut. And by goodness, thanks to the variety of heat treatments among those companies, I was able to compile a sort of comparison between MagnaCut and other steels in two critical departments, toughness and edge retention. And here are the blades we're testing today. Kershaw BelAir, SPYDERCO MANIX2 SALT, Hogue Mysto, Hogue Deka, VALE, LionSteel Nano, Benchmade 710 Limited Edition, ProTech PT Strider, and Benchmade MINI ADIRA. On the blades that are coated, I remove the coating from the blade's tang. I'll discuss why later. The tester I picked for my channel is a little different. It takes 5 measurements in a close proximity to one another and then gives me an average. So when I calibrate or recheck my calibration, what I do is measure the hardness of that provided calibration block. And here it is. I'm striking it 5 times and it will give me an average. And the arrow is called zero shift. So in the case of the first set, zero shift was negative 0.3 points. Then I do it one more time, 5 strikes in the next set will also yield an average, and I compare it to the nominal value. And here I only get zero shift of negative 0.1. The nominal value for this block is 58.7. So the error is anything above or below this. Zero shift for the third set is plus 0.5. So as you could see during the calibration that I did 3 times, so 15 strikes altogether, the averages varied somewhat. So I took the average of all 3 tests and found the error. And the error was negative 0.3 points. So going forward, I will add these 0.3 points to the final value that the steel on the blade will show. So here is what I got in summary. 58.4, so my shift is plus 0.3. So let's see how that goes. The blade you see here first is Benchmade 710 Limited Anniversary Edition. I am striking the area on the tang of the blade that I stripped off coating. Yes, I did it for you guys. I ruined my highly collectible one of 2,500 blades so that I can do this test. Don't forget to hit the like. Anyway, I will explain through the course of these tests what I'm doing here. For this knife, I got 59.9 adjusted value. I will explain how I adjusted the value in a minute or two. The next blade was Kershaw BelAir. This knife made a splash when it appeared on the market as Kershaw's first US-made crossbar lock knife. And as you may have seen in my other video, I had a couple of issues with the heat treat, but I'm actually putting a test underpinning to my suspicions. So we got 59.7 adjusted, and now I am switching to the next popular blade, which is SPYDERCO MANIX2 SALT. Also a beautifully machined MagnaCut blade. This knife was featured in my accelerated corrosion video, and in that video I connected the dots that I found in Dr. Larry Thomas's article about MagnaCut where it became clear to me that a reduced hardness actually yields better corrosion resistance, 59.8. This is a Benchmade MINI ADIRA water series knife that was also included in the accelerated corrosion test video. Again, I can clearly see that the designers chose hardness that corresponds to the best corrosion resistant range, which in turn correlates to the lower austenitizing temperatures, yielding hardness between 59.5 and 61 Rockwell C scale. 60 HRC, that's what I got on this one. So what you saw in this part of the video, when I showed the Rockwell hardness for each blade, on top I am saying this is a correction of plus 0.3, and then underneath my average Rockwell hardness, and underneath, in some cases, you will see that I removed outliers. What is an outlier? I calculated for each range of 5 strikes, I calculated standard deviation, and if a number was above or below 3 standard deviations, I just threw that result out and recalculated the average. And in some cases I got lucky and all my 5 strikes were in the range, and in some cases I had to throw away 2 out of 5. If I had some issues early on in the video that you don't see, where I had to remove more than 2, I would actually redo the entire series. And do please keep in mind that each time I strike the blade, it leaves a tiny little divot, so that's why I'm doing it on the tang. These are all production knives, so the blades are normally heat treated for this type of steel anyway. They should have a pretty uniform hardness throughout the entire blade. If you disagree with this methodology, based on your professional experience with testing, laboratory work, etc., please do write a comment. I am very particular about hearing from experts like yourself. And I am blessed, my channel is blessed with a lot of knowledgeable people tuning in and leaving excruciatingly detailed comments, all of which I read and take under advisement. So comment if you disagree, comment if you have additional questions about my methods. Here are the results for the range between 59.5 and 60.9 HRC. MC in the center represents MagnaCut, and to the left of it there are the steels that, at least in the charts, perform better than MagnaCut in this hardness range. And on the right, for each category, there are blades that perform worse than MagnaCut in the same heat treat range. Next to the familiar to you steels, I placed pictorial representations of knives that use that steel in their blades. I did it for the purpose of sparking your interest in potential future videos. I have most, if not all, of these knives in my possession, and I am looking for new ideas for the next and the next and the next video from you. But keep in mind that I have not tested any of these knives on the left and the right to date, and these are just what they are, pictorial representations showing you where the steels are used. Pause for as long as you need to absorb all this. Meanwhile, we are moving to the next grouping, which is from 61 to 62.5 Rockwell. This is Hogue Deka, an excellent knife, which had a distinction of being the first production knife made in the US with a MagnaCut blade. Everything else before was either a small batch production or custom knives or fixed blades. As you will see, I had to remove a couple outliers for this test, and I got 62.0 Rockwell hardness. Now we are in the Italian territory with a VALE. There's a lot of noise and buzz out there that Italian blades are not heat treated to the full potential. I am not going to argue with anyone's opinions in this video. I'm just going to let you watch this test. There are 2 Italian blades in the set, and make your own conclusions. Both Italian knives have very robust blade geometry. They maintain pretty thick behind the edge dimension. Both of these knives survived my Tree of Doom test, where I stab and pry them out of the tree 25 times without breaking the tip. We are now looking at the hardness range of 61 to 62.5 Rockwell. And as you can see, this range is even more densely populated than the previous chart by pretty well-known, very good steels. The big surprise here, for me at least, was that S30V has a much better edge retention than some of the steels that are considered more premium. I am old enough to remember when S30V entered the market, a lot of people were calling it a hyped-up gimmick steel, and were stipulating that it's no better than ATS 34 or 154 CM. Does that sound familiar to you guys now? Next on the hardness block is ProTech PT Strider version. And again, I had to sacrifice the coating on the back of the blade. Let's talk about that. One of the biggest channels spreads the word that coating reduces the blade's hardness by 1 or 2 Rockwell points. That depends. If the coating needs to be applied at a temperature that is above the annealing temperature of the blade, let's say 450 versus 350, then indeed it will lower the Rockwell hardness. In the case of less expensive Chinese manufacturers, that may well be the case. At the legitimate manufacturers such as ProTech, an engineer will consider this and adjust annealing procedure accordingly, so that the additional step of coating does not reduce the hardness beneath the target range, as clearly is the case here. Here's the Italian-made LionSteel Nano. I think this knife is another victim of rumors and speculations spread by large channels that Italian manufacturers heat treat their blades suboptimally. Obviously, I cannot attest to every Italian blade, only to the 2 that I tested here today. Both came in a very decent range for MagnaCut. 63 Rockwell is a very good spot to be in. This region of hardness, 62.5 to 63.5, is not conquered by many manufacturers. Whether it's warranty concerns or other issues, I don't know why, they just don't do it. In fact, I was unable to find a knife made with AEBL steel that advertises this level of hardness. The 2 remaining knives on the screen are actually in my collection, and I verified that both of them are in this range or above. Those are Manix 2 in Cruair and Chris Reeve in Cosi in S45VN. Can you guess which one of the 2 goes even higher? Meanwhile, let's go on. Hogue Mysto is, I don't know if you kept the count, is number 9 in this video. So, ladies and gentlemen, tip your hats, salute the manufacturer. This is the only MagnaCut blade I measured to date to be above 63. And not just slightly above 63. This blade comes in at 63.8. Let's take a moment and appreciate the fact that at least one production company takes full advantage of MagnaCut's properties, and at least one other company takes full advantage of Cruair's properties. Both knives are not priced out of this world, and I believe them to be a good value. But let's get a little bit into the details. At this hardness level, Cruair and MagnaCut meet, their graphs intersect, They're almost identical in edge retention and in toughness. Where MagnaCut succeeds above and beyond crew wear is corrosion resistance. At this level, MagnaCut is as corrosion resistant as CPM 20 CV/M390, LC200N, and just slightly under H2. Crew wear and MagnaCut are both very sharpenable steels, which means manufacturers expend less energy and materials to finish them into the blades that you purchase. Unfortunately, only 2 companies found it within themselves to take full advantage of the steel's properties. And this is a sad tendency which I've been observing for the last few months. The Rockwell Hardness disappears from the retailer's websites. Where Knife Center used to report hardness for almost every blade, it is gone. And Blade HQ has been doing that for a while, sanitizing Rockwell Hardness. Why are they doing that? Well, to sell more knives, of course, and they even gave themselves an excuse.
Yeah, so edge geometry is actually more important than steel, and it's more important than heat.
In general, I would not presume to argue with Dr. Laren Thomas. And I don't have to, because about 30 seconds later, he said this.
Obviously, we want to optimize all 3.
Of course, yeah.
Treating. Obviously, we want to optimize all 3.
Of course, yeah. You know, you have optimization in all 3, you're going to have the best performing tool.
Treating.
You're going to have the best performing tool.
What we can do as a community, we need to insist that they return the Rockwell Hardness rating into the knife descriptions. Make those comments on every new release video that you get from Blade HQ, Knife Center, all the other retailers. Ask them what the Rockwell Hardness is. Ask manufacturers to disclose the Rockwell Hardness for every knife they show. Otherwise, we're going to lose the ability to evaluate the blades before we buy them.